Hello everybody and welcome to the standard goals for Gottlieb's Black Hole. Black Hole was one of the first 4 tables released for the Pinball Arcade, and as such it was one of the earliest tables that gave me the most amount of trouble. And it may have something to do with the fact that the table itself was very glitchy, it seemed, in the early days. Things were happening that shouldn't have been happening, and it seemed like I would lose my ball in completely unfair ways. Now, it's several years after the table's originally been released, and I found it on Steam and the PS4. The table is much easier to play. Now, I don't know if it's been updated on like Android or PS3. I just haven't played it that often on those platforms. But it's almost safe to say that a lot of the problems with this table have been fixed, and it should be a lot easier to play. But I could totally understand if this table does give you problems, and all I could say is just practice. For example, if you go to the lower level of the playfield, you have to remember to open the gate before you leave, otherwise the ball will just drain, things like that. So, without getting into more tips like that, let's just start with the first standard table goal for the Black Hole. The first standard table goal for the Black Hole is to survive re-entry from the lower level. When you first start playing the Black Hole, you may notice that when you hit the gravity tunnel, it lets you go down to the lower level. When you lose the ball on the lower level, the ball will exit in the re-entry slot on the right side of the table. Now there's a gate, and that gate can be opened or closed. Now normally, by default, the gate is closed, and if you were to exit the lower level through the re-entry hatch, you will automatically lose the ball. So this goal is pretty much having that gate open when you lose the ball on the lower level, so you don't lose the ball when it exits through the re-entry hatch. So, how do you open that gate? There are a couple ways to do this. The 2 easiest ways are actually on the lower level. So if you find yourself going to the lower level and the gate is closed, you'll have to open the gate before you lose the ball on the lower level, or you'll just automatically lose the ball through the re-entry hatch when it exits. So there are 2 banks of drop targets on the lower level, and all you have to do is hit all those targets, the one set or the other set, and the gate will open. There's also a way to open the gate from the upper playfield. There are 4 spot targets that are near the re-entry hole, and if you hit all 4 of those targets, there's a green light that will light that indicates that it will open the gate. So once you hit that spot and get the ball to roll over the right in lane, the gate will also open. However, if you hit practically anything else on the upper playfield, the gate will just automatically close anyway. Standard goal number 2 is to lock a ball in the upper level. Now, locking the ball in the upper level actually isn't too hard to do, although there could be some difficult shots to make. The first thing you need to do is hit all the spot targets that are near the re-entry light, the same ones I talked about in the first standard goal. Once all those are lit, the captive hole light will light that is along the path near the upper left flipper. And all you really need to do is hit that hole, and that'll lock the ball. And that's really all there is to it. Although those spot targets can be kind of difficult to hit, but you'll kind of get used to it after a while, but sometimes it's just really hard to hit those. And even sometimes that hole that locks that ball can be difficult to hit at times. But that's really the only 2 things you really need to do, is just hit the spot targets, light that light, and then hit the hole, and the ball will be held captive. And that's really all you need to do to hit this goal. Standard goal number 3 is to advance the GeForce accelerator to 1G. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this table and somebody told you to do this goal, you'd be like, what the hell does that even mean? because you really have to have an in-depth knowledge of this table to really know what that means. On the upper part of the playfield, there are two sets of drop targets. There's a set of drop targets that say black, and there's a set of drop targets that say whole. To increase the GeForce accelerator to 1G, what you have to do is hit those drop targets in order. For example, if you look at the sets of drop targets on the left side, they spell out the word black. And at first you'll notice that the letter B has an arrow pointing at it that's flashing. So what this means is that B is the first letter you have to hit, and then L, and then A, and then C, and then K. And if you hit those drop targets in order, then you will increase the GeForce accelerator to 1G. Also, if you look at the right side, you see the 4 drop targets that say whole. So it's the same thing. You have to hit the H first, the O next, the L next, and then the E, and then you will advance the GeForce accelerator to 1G. Now, what makes this goal easier is that you don't have to shoot all the letters in order on the first try. So for example, if all the targets are standing and you hit the letter L first and then hit the letter B, well, obviously you can't hit L for your next letter. But if you hit the rest of the drop targets, they'll all reset. And then all you have to do is hit L then, and then A, and then C and K. But if, say for example, you hit L and then you hit B and then K, and you hit them in the wrong order, it doesn't matter. It'll just keep advancing in the correct order, and you can reset it as many times as you want. It's not like where if you hit B and then A, you have to reset it and start again from B. So that makes things a little bit easier. And what also makes it a bit easier is if you drain the ball, it remembers where you left off. If you drain the ball, you do not have to start all over again. Lastly, I just want to point out that the GeForce accelerator lights are located on the lower level, where I'm pointing them out on the screen right now. If either one of those GeForce accelerator lights are lit, the GeForce accelerator is at 1G. If both of them are lit, the GeForce accelerator is at 2G. And what this does is either doubles or triples the scoring on the lower level. And this is actually something that can come in handy for our 5th standard table goal when we get to it.
GeForce accelerated.
The 4th standard table goal is to collect a special from the upper level. This was one of the last standard goals I got on the black hole, and it was simply because I just didn't know what to do. But once I looked it up, it was actually fairly easy to do. If you look at the left loop near the roll under, you'll see 3 lights. The first one is lit 10,000, the next one is lit extra ball, and the next one is lit special. The special one is the one you need to activate and collect in order to get this table goal. Well, how do you light these lights? Well, to see where these lights are lit, we have to look at the lower playfield. And if we look at the lower playfield, we'll see that there's 3 drop targets on the right side of the lower playfield. And it specifically says on the table, bank completed score special. So what happens is every time you complete these 3 drop targets, it will light one of the rewards for the roll under. So the first time you drop all 3 of those drop targets, the 10,000 point light will light. The second time you do it, the extra ball light will light. And the third time you do it, the special light will light. And so once the special light is lit, all you have to do is shoot that loop and hit the roll under, and you'll collect the special and complete the goal. It's actually very simple when you think about it, and it's actually not too difficult to do if you try to do it. And the last standard table goal for the black hole is to score at least 250,000 points from the lower level bonus. So with the black hole, you may notice that there are actually 2 scoring displays. Now the first one is on the backboard, and the Pinball Arcade actually displays this in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Now this is the score that you are normally accumulating during the game, and this score only really goes up whenever you're scoring points on the upper playfield. Now on the lower playfield, you may notice that there's a separate display for a lower level bonus. Now when you're in the lower level, you're not actually accumulating any score as you're scoring. Instead, all the points you are getting are being added to the lower level bonus. And that lower level bonus doesn't actually get added to your regular score until you lose the ball. So what this goal is actually telling you to do is to get that lower level bonus to 250,000 points before you lose the ball. Now this can seem kind of difficult at first, but there's two things you can do to increase the score faster. And the first one of these I actually talked about in standard goal number 3, and that's to, on the upper play field, hit the letters black and whole in order to advance the GeForce accelerator to 1G, or to do both and accelerate it to 2G. When you have it advanced to 1G, one of those two GeForce accelerator lights will light, and the scoring on the lower playfield will be doubled. And if you get both of them lit, then the scoring is tripled, and that can raise your score on the lower level quite dramatically. The other thing you can do is hit the advanced multiplier loop on the lower playfield that's on the right side. You'd hit it from the left flipper in the lower table and just keep doing that loop. And when you hit the loop the first time, you get 2 times, then 3 times, then 4 times, then 5 times. So if you hit it 4 times, you'll get 5 times multiplier for your lower level bonus. So it'll just take your score at the end and multiply whatever that multiplier is at the end of the ball. You won't actually get this goal until you drain the ball, and after all the calculations are made. If your lower level bonus is at least 250,000, you'll get the goal. It's actually not too hard once you get the multipliers and the G-forces, but without it, it could take quite a bit of time, and you have to actually do that quite a bit before losing the ball. And that is all the standard table goals for Black Hole. Thanks everyone for watching. See y'all next time.